Hey mates, and welcome to More Than Meets the Eyes. I'm your host, Blind Prime, and this is my co-host, Sugar the Potato Cat. She's going to be knocking things over today with us and probably being adorable. Aren't you an adorable thing? Who's an adorable turtle shell? You're an adorable turtle shell. So, today's video will be about Transformers Age of the Primes Primea Voyager Class. Today we're going to go over Primea from top to bottom, talk about articulation, the way it feels in the hand, and the accessories that it comes with, and also things that you can do with the figure that you may not know you can do with the figure. Uh, we're also going to end today's video with a grade, and after we do the grade, we'll do the size comparisons, because the size comparisons are always fun, but not everybody enjoys them. So you can do, size comparisons will take place after the grading. So if you just want the review, you can leave then. You can let everybody enjoy the size comparisons that wants to stay around. Now, without further ado, let's get into it today. This is a fun figure, first off. Top notch. I just want to make sure that's stated outright. This is a fun figure. Now, is he a good figure or not? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. But I just want you to know, out of the box, it's a fun figure. The first thing we'll talk about is this accessory he comes with, which is his Star Saber. And yes, he's got a Star Saber, Star Saber's got a Star Saber, and there's another Star Saber that came with Armada Starscream that I may have misplaced. I can't find the Star Saber. It's gone. It's lost again. There's lots of Star Sabers, and this is the first Star Saber. And it comes in two pieces. Three if you count the matrix that splits off from it. So we can actually split the matrix off from it and break it down into its three components. Ooh, three components. And the matrix is the matrix that we've seen before. The only difference is that they've done something different with the back of it to make it fit into this handle properly. And the only reason I know that is because the hot rod matrix doesn't fit in this handle. The hot rod matrix actually doesn't really fit on this character too well at all, but we'll get into that later. So you can position the matrix so that it's up and down, vertical, like what I'm doing there, and or you can actually rotate it around and position it, and that's the correct way, where it's horizontal, where the little carrying handles are on either side of the handle below, and then the top of the blade, which has some really nice textures to it. This feels like a decent blade. And honestly, this is a better feeling blade than what we got with Omega Prime. I do not like that sword that came with Omega Prime. I am just blown away by how obscenely large that sword is, and I really wish they had found a way to make it lighter, because that's the problem with that sword. It was just too heavy. And Omega Prime mentioned, I find it interesting that I had bad things to say about Omega Prime, and Perspective End had bad things to say about Omega Prime. But for some reason, Perspective End gets threatening emails and stuff, and that's not cool. People shouldn't do that to him. And that just ain't right. It's a collectible, and that's his opinion. Good grief. I like him. He's a cool guy. Me and him chat every now and then. And, me and him may disagree on figures, but death threats never come up or anything like that. This is messed up. Y'all shouldn't do that. That's all I'm going to say on the matter. But no, you shouldn't threaten someone's life because they didn't like something that you like. That is just BS. Yeah. All right. So that's the sword there, and the matrix, which isn't much different, and yeah. Now, I do have on the sword, I did attach this blast effect that came with my 86 hot rod. Now, this blast effect is really neat because I plugged it in. It plugs into the matrix to give the matrix that moment where it's shining out in the movie, and then the song starts. You're like, you got the touch, yeah, you got the power. All right, yeah. So it's the big shiny matrix. And the blast effect is a lot of fun because it makes the matrix big and shiny. And then I just plug it into the side of the sword because I think it makes the sword big and shiny, and it's fun. I like the way that you can do that with the previously acquired things. Like, if you've been collecting these Transformers since the start of Siege, like me, then you notice there's a lot of connectability going on since Siege. I can't say too much about before Siege times. I can only talk really about after Siege times. And after Siege times, everything just works together so well. Now let me talk about the other feature I want to mention on this character, and then we're going to get into the real review. The last feature I want to talk about is right here at the chest area, and we can pull down the chest to reveal a matrix. There it is. The matrix of leadership is inside of his chest. And yes, I have a second matrix here. This is Hot Rod's matrix of leadership. This one came with the 86 Hot Rod, which is a figure I desperately hope they redo because more people need to get a hold of that figure. That is a top-notch, high-quality, amazing Transformer. This is a fun little matrix that he comes with, but it's different than the newer matrices in that there's something different about the backside of it. There's something different about the size of that hole in the underside of it, and that does change with these guys because I think with Hot Rod's matrix, it was made to fit on a 5mm port. With this guy's matrix, I don't know what it's made to fit on, but it definitely doesn't fit the Hot Rod's matrix. So I just kind of let it be in there. It rattles a bit because it doesn't really hold in steady, but he's got a matrix in his chest now, and he's got a matrix on his sword, and that's cool. I like that about this guy. I like that you can give him two matrices and make him just the ultimate Prime. Now let's start from the bottom and work our way up, and then we'll talk about him a bit more. So not really anything happening on the bottom of the feet. There's a lot of waffling down there, and that's just about it. Though there is ankle tilt, which is nice. Though the foot does fold, kind of move up, so there's like a toe tilt, so you can have him lean forwards on his toes, or you can lean back on his toes, or you can lean forwards on his toes, or you can lean back. But that's about it. There is nice ankle tilt on both of them, and it only goes in one direction, but it's a pretty big ankle tilt. Like you can get him a decent, you can get those feet flat on the ground and he does almost a full split. That's really cool ankle tilt. I like the range of motion and movement you can get out of those ankles and those feet. Now the feet at the top do feel like armored greaves. We've got, this guy is a paladin in a lot of ways. And what you feel here is he's wearing some, basically, plate mail. Like he's wearing light plate mail armor, and it does feel like that. It feels like he's wearing a layer of armor on everything, and with how the sculpting is done in the legs specifically, you can really get that impression. You get this really big knee pad that has this little indentation in it, and it feels really cool. And then you've got these the side of the leg here, which has these stripes etched into it, like little tiger stripes, which is really cool. There's some indents and some spreads out, things where it stretches out. It is a fun feeling thing. I like this little indent in the lower part of the leg. Really gives it character. This leg's got character. They did sculpt in a lot of cool things into this. There's a lot going on with these legs, a lot more than normally happens with the legs. Usually I'm like, yeah, it's a smooth texture, but not here. Just about every little square of possible area is etched or has something going on it. It's really nice. Moving around to the back, we've got his two wheels for his vehicle mode. They're each shoved into the back of his legs, very similar to Siege Prime. And this guy is reminiscent of Siege Prime in that way and how the wheels work. And then we come up here to the thighs. Now, his knees only pull a 90, and that is just a little more than a 90, and that's a shame. I wish they did more, and they do more if you take and pull this. If you pull the wheels out, and you fold the wheel up so that it's sitting on the side of his leg, then you can pull epic motion with this. He can collapse his leg into his leg, and he can just, epic articulation if you do that. But if the wheels are in the back of his legs, he only pulls a little more than a 90. Though one of my knees does lock in place and the other knee does not. I don't know why, but that's the case. Coming up here to the thighs, if you move the skirt up, he pulls at a 90 on the side kick, at a little more than a 90 on the front kick, at less than a 90 on the back kick. And then we can lower down that thing there. There we go. And then we have really, really fun feeling things here on the sides. We've got some nice etching going on there for the little side skirts, which I really like these side skirts. I do think they're really well done, and I appreciate side skirts like this when it comes to Transformers, and I wish we got it more often. We get some small ones, but these long ones are a lot of fun, and we saw that with Age of Extinction Optimus Prime just recently, where he had really long skirts on the sides. And then we come up here the to the groin area. We've got what feels like he's wearing some tabard armor or something that falls down between his legs. That's kind of the impression we get here, kind of like Solus Prime's apron. And that's a very similar impression you're getting from this guy. Now, we come up here above that, we've got his ab area, and his ab area feels reminiscent of Optimus Prime, where he has the grill as his abs, but also reminiscent of Megatron, in that Megatron also has a similar feeling ab area. So that was something neat that I found noticeable about this guy. He's got impressions of both Megatron and Optimus Prime in him. Now we come up here to his chest, and his chest kind of peeks out, and it gives the impression of an Optimus Prime chest where there's kind of what feels like a square, a window on each side because of the way it's etched. It does feel like there's a little line on each side to symbolize, and up here at the front there's just the slightest hint of a line on each side of this little spike at his the center of his chest where his diaphragm would be. And it does feel like there's supposed to be two windows on either side. You got the ghost of windows, and it's just symbolizing like this is going to be, he's going to have those windows later, and in primes are always going to have the windows there. So that's just neat, and I like the way it feels. This is a very highly textured thing. This feels like the grill of a truck that's been stretched and spread out, or there's some really intricate armor that's been and I remember there's a term for that armor, similar to scale mail, but it's a scale mail that runs with ribbons of metal instead of triangles of metal. And I can't remember the name of that type of armor, but that is what you get here. You get ribbons of armor, not scales of armor, but it's similar to scale mail. Now we come over here to his arms, and I love the pauldrons. I like that you can lower the pauldrons down, and he becomes like the cool shogunite. Or you can pick these pauldrons up, and then you can imagine two antennae growing from the center of his forehead out on either side, and then him reaching around to his back and pulling out a lightsaber, and yeah, Gundam. Just these pauldrons, whenever they're folded out, they just scream Gundam Wing to me. Like I just and I keep wondering, like, is this something that Hero Yui would fly? And I think it would be. This totally would be up Heroes. This totally would be a Hero Yui vehicle. So, coming down here past the pauldrons, which are just a lot of fun. We got a siege port in them. We've got this fun little circle bit. That circle bit in the front is what reminds me of Gundam Wing, and is specifically Gundam Wing. And then over here on the side, we have an etched out piece. Like it's this pauldron is supposed to go out further, but it's been just removed. It's got a neat little texture to it. Very fun. Coming down here to the arm, we've got a very minimalistic upper arm that doesn't really have much texture at all to it. But if you're not counting the shoulder pauldron as its own articulation, which it can fold all the way down to cover up most of the arm, or it can fold up to be Gundam style. Now, when it comes to the arm itself, rotation at the shoulder is 360 degrees, 90 at the side pickup, and that's just about it. Then we get a little more than a 90 elbow. Then you get rotation at the bicep. You got to make sure you don't accidentally unfold the forearm, because the forearm unfolds for transformation. And then you have rotation at the hand. And there's a siege port in the forearm, and you got some more textured armor, like he's got bracers on. These really do feel like they're bracers, even going so far as to kind of give you attachment points, or what you can imagine to be an attachment point right there at the top and around here to the side. That's really fun how they managed to make this guy feel like he's wearing a lot of armor. And even though he's a lighter transformer than Megatronus, which we'll be comparing those soon. Now we come over here to his head, and he's got a fat head for a prime. Usually we don't come across primes with such fat heads. First off, he's got what I call bear ears, because unlike cat ears, they don't have the points to them. They got kind of a rounded aspect to them. So I nicknamed them bear ears. and robot bear ears because they're squarish, but still. His face, it's in there, and he's got a normal feeling Transformers face in there, but it's surrounded by this unique head helmet. And this unique helmet it feels like it gives him mutton chops. Like he's got armor that goes from the top of his head all the way down to his neck. And that's really cool. That's really neat. And like the nose in there and the mouth between the two mutton chop pieces of his armor, it comes out to be exceptional. And even the crest has some really nice textures to it in there. You can barely feel it in there, but they did etch out the crest very well. This is a very well done figure, in my opinion. In the back of his head's got these really fun lines to act as like more armor pieces that are all etched around. Like this, he feels like he will try and defeat Unicron. This guy, his whole entire job was to defeat Unicron. So him and Megatronus were made to defeat Unicron. Everybody else was made so that Primea would have somebody to laugh and have fun with. But the first two were specifically made to destroy Unicron, and at least that's what I recall in my own headcanon. Now, the back of him, no big backpack. He does have the kibble for the vehicle mode as a backpack, but it's very slim, it's very sleek, and I like that he gets this back armor skirt that spreads out really wide. It's a lot of fun. He is a fun character. His articulation, it could be better. It could be better. But the sculpt work is sublime. It's amazing. I love the fact that the upper arm and the lower arm, the upper arm and the forearm area are very similar in size. I don't like it whenever like the upper arm is very thin and the lower arm is very fat, or the lower arm is very thin and the upper arm is very fat. I like it more whenever they're symmetrical. And down here we've got symmetrical thigh to leg ratio. His thigh and his leg are very similar in size, and it's not a big jump between the two. It's not like what we had here with Age of Extinction Prime, where Age of Extinction Prime, the back of the thigh, the thighs, they're the same width as the legs, but then you flip them around to the back and realize he's got like this entire shelf that Bumblebee can sit on between the back of his thigh and the back of the lower leg. Like that's one of the reasons his leg only pulls a 90 at the knee, because he's just sitting on all this on this big old shelf of stuff on the back of his leg. That's not the case with Primea. And since I have him, I guess I could talk about him. What was that? Oh, that was you. Okay. So we can compare these guys' sizes first, since I brought him out. And before I get to that, I will state that Primea here is an A-. He's an A-, but that's not bad. Okay, he made it to the A's. Yeah, he got like a 93 score, but it's still a good score for robot mode. This is an exceptional robot mode. I think it would be better if the articulation was a little better. Actually, no. I should A. I'll give him a 95. He gets perfect A, okay? Because he is made out of a plastic that I don't like too much, and he is made out of, his articulation is wanting. And other than that, very good figure, very fun. So let's compare him now to this guy. And I brought out Age of Extinction Optimus Prime first because Age of Extinction Optimus Prime and him are the same height. And this is something I wanted to talk about because I haven't heard anybody mention it. Now, years ago, when 86 Hot Rod came out, we didn't stop hearing from people about, it's a Voyager price point, but it's only the size of a deluxe. Ooh, wah. And they just wouldn't stop complaining about Hot Rod, even though the transformation was totally what you were buying there, because that was an amazing transformation in my opinion. They wouldn't stop complaining about 86 Hot Rod. They wouldn't stop complaining about it being at a Voyager price point. And it got to the point where it was kind of annoying because it was just something everybody was bringing up. I haven't heard one person bring up the fact that this leader class Age of Extinction Optimus Prime is the size of a Voyager. So I'll bring it up. because I'm like, as much as I appreciate this Age of Extinction Optimus Prime, I did like the Hot Rod more. And it did upset me more that people were mad at the Hot Rod. So you know what? All the people absolutely love this Age of Extinction Optimus. You know what? Same argument there. It's a Voyager class. It should have been sold at a Voyager class price point. Yeah, I did it. I said it. Even though its transformation does basically mean leader class price point because he's got an amazing transformation, but to all of those people who say that the size is what matters, not the motion of the transformation, I say to you, then he should be Voyager class, and you should be yelling about that. And if you're not yelling about that, then it's obvious that you care more about the transformation. But that's beside the point. Let's move on. I just wanted to bring up that because I find it hilarious. I love it when things like that happen. So let's bring out my next size comparison guy, which is Bone Crusher, because Bone Crusher is a lot of fun to compare. Bone Crusher stands. I'm gonna put him. The top of his head ends at the just below the collarbone for Prima here, and Prima can wrap his arm around Bone Crusher's neck, which is pretty good. But due to the way Bone Crusher works, you can't really kick Bone Crusher away. So that's Bone Crusher. Really fun figure there, Bone Crusher. Let's set Bone Crusher down, and who do I have over here to compare? Who is that? Oh, Solus Prime. There we go, Solus. Now we got Solus compared to Prima, and Solus here is very good about the sizing. The top of her head comes to just below his collarbone as well, but they work really well together, I think. Nice little comparisons. Shoulder-wise, they do have similar shoulder pauldrons, which I love, but her shoulder the top of her shoulder comes up to about midway up his bicep. So that is Solus Prime. I'm going to scoot Solus Prime there. And who do we have next to talk about? We've got our Bumblebee, which we'll bring out in a second because I want to talk about somebody else before Bumblebee. Who's this? The Chester Cheetah. We just compare the Chester Cheetah to him. There we go. Look at them. Look at them together. Chester Cheetah. Okay, the Chester Cheetah's head comes up to the top of the pauldrons for his for Prima's shoulders. Now, let's bring in, before we bring in Bumblebee, we've got Megatronus here, because Megatronus needs to be looked at in comparison to Prima. I mean, after all, they're twins, right? There we go. There goes the blast effect, because they do fall off from time to time. They just kind of like to fall off. Now, I forgot which way am I supposed to be pointing you. Good grief, you're a big dude. Okay, there we go. Now, leader class figure to leader class figure here, it's a lot different. Megatronus is huge compared to Prima. The top of Prima's head comes up to Megatronus's collarbone. So, where, the difference in size between Megatronus and Prima is the same difference in size between Prima and Solus Prime. And I think that's wild. It's also wild that I've been mentioning that Prima looks like he's wearing armor, but Megatronus looks like he's wearing armor too. The difference between them being Megatronus is like a barbarian wearing armor, where Prima's like a paladin wearing armor. They wear different types of armor, and the barbarian's going to be a lot bigger and bulkier than the paladin. So we're going to set that guy off to the side. When the barbarian wears armor, of course, because barbarian rarely wear armor. But when barbarian do wear armor, barbarian wear a lot of armor. Now, finally, we've got our good old 86 Bumblebee to compare to. We used to use Earthrise Bumblebee, but 86 Bumblebee came out, and I like to use him more because I think he's a better representation of the size of Bumblebee. And he goes to the midway up the abs for Prima here. And that's pretty good. That is a pretty amazing figure overall. I think Prima is definitely a top-notch figure. I do love him a lot. I think he's a lot of fun. And I will end this video because I know, it's rare that people manage to get to this point. And so now I can say the thing that may be controversial. I think Prima should be female. I believe that Prima should be a female Transformer. With a name like Prima and the way that they look and feel and the sleekness to them, I'm just like, you are a warrior princess. You're more like Xena than you are like Megatronus. You feel like you are a female Transformer that is up armored and stuff. And yeah, they don't they don't make them female, which is weird because even the name Prima seems feminine to me. So in my head, I've always thought of Prima as a female transformer, and that there were two females in the 13 primes. It was Prima and Solus, and everybody else was male. But that's my own personal beliefs and what I feel about this character. I know many people argue against me on that one, but it does look, the way this character feels in the hand, the way this character looks, the way this character acts, it just screams that they're female. They're a female character in my opinion, and yeah, I'll stick to that one. Thank you all so much for watching today's video. I've been Blind Prime, and this has been my co-host Sugar the Potato Cat. Sugar the Potato Cat. She's a good cat. Yes, she is. I hope you've enjoyed the show. I've enjoyed making it and knocking things over here at Blind_Prime. We just can't go an episode without me knocking something over. Thanks again for watching. I hope you've enjoyed my perspective. Until next Prime, tomorrow we will be discussing the transformation for Prima, and I will be explaining to you verbally in the Blindformers episode how to transform Prima from robot mode to vehicle mode, step by verbal step. So please, tune in tomorrow for my Blindformers. Until next Prime, bye-bye for now.